Hello, this is David Austin with the BBC News. The police have shot a protester in Hong Kong with live ammunition during violent clashes that have erupted across the territory. It came just hours after China celebrated 7 decades of Communist Party rule with a major parade in Beijing. Stephen McDonnell reports.
This is not how Beijing would have liked the 70th anniversary of Communist Party rule to be remembered in Hong Kong. An activist was shot in the chest with a live round from point-blank range after a police officer was being hit with a pole. Protesters charged up an escalator near the main government building, trying to reach a police position. They were met with volley after volley of rubber bullets and tear gas. They had to retreat. Burning barricades and other fires have been seen throughout the heart of the city. The authorities have been determined to try and minimise the ability of Hong Kong demonstrators to upstage celebrations in the Chinese capital.
Earlier in Beijing, President Xi Jinping said no force could stop China's onward march. Dressed in a Mao suit, Mr. Xi watched a parade that included 15,000 soldiers and advanced military hardware, some of it on show for the first time. The highly choreographed event presented an image of national unity. The chief operating officer of the bank Credit Suisse has resigned over his role in a surveillance operation against a former senior executive who joined a competitor. Pierre-Olivier Bouet said he initiated the investigation to protect the bank's interests. Andrew Walker reports.
Although Mr. Bouet is the one who has lost his job, this affair has touched 2 people who could be described as superstars of global finance. Tidjane Thiam, the bank's chief executive, and Iqbal Khan, who was seen as a possible successor to the top job, had a stormy relationship. Mr. Khan decided to leave and has started at another Swiss bank. Mr. Bouet, concerned that Mr. Khan might take clients and colleagues with him, commissioned private investigators to follow him. Having commissioned its own investigation, Credit Suisse says that was inappropriate and out of proportion and has accepted Mr. Bouet's resignation.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the reality of Brexit means there'll need to be customs checks on the island of Ireland after the UK leaves the EU. But he rejected claims that it would mean a hard border in the form of a series of customs posts. He said Britain would shortly be presenting the EU with a very good offer for an amended Brexit agreement. A European Commission spokeswoman, Mina Andreeva, said there was still a lack of workable proposals from London.
We have no comment on these documents that are alleged to be floating around because we have not received any proposals from the United Kingdom that meet all the objectives of the backstop, as we have been reiterating and demanding.
Mina Andreeva. World News from the BBC. A former French Prime Minister and Defence Minister are to stand trial over the so-called Karachi affair, a submarine deal with Pakistan in the mid-1990s, which allegedly involved massive kickbacks. Edouard Balladur and François Léotard will appear in a special court. The allegation is that Mr. Balladur gave the go-ahead for secret commissions to be paid to intermediaries in the sale of 3 submarines to Pakistan, and that from these commissions, so-called retro commissions, came back to France to finance Mr. Balladur's 1995 failed presidential bid. The Speaker of Nepal's Parliament, Krishna Bahadur Mahara, has resigned a day after a female member of staff publicly accused him of raping her. Jill McGivering reports.
The female employee said that on Sunday evening Mr. Mahara arrived drunk at her apartment in the capital Kathmandu and assaulted her. He denies this, but agreed to step down on moral grounds while an investigation was carried out. Before becoming Speaker, he was a member of the governing Nepal Communist Party and apparently came under pressure from the party's leaders. Analysts say it's very rare in Nepal for such a senior figure to face charges of sexual assault, and even more unusual for them to resign as a result.
Jill McGivering. The regional government of Catalonia has reaffirmed its desire for independence from Spain on the 2nd anniversary of a referendum that was banned by the courts. The regional president, Quim Torra, also demanded the release of Catalan leaders who are on trial over the failed independence bid. New figures show a marked improvement in the life expectancy of Russians, a trend attributed to a sharp reduction in alcohol consumption, particularly among men. The World Health Organization says Russians, among the heaviest drinkers globally, are drinking 43% less than at the peak in the early years of the century. And those are the latest stories from BBC News.